So the president actually has a real concern for history and cultural heritage. We at the Ministry of Culture and other ministries and agencies are also expected to revitalize our respective assets. In the Ministry of Culture, there are quite a few, ranging from museums to cultural heritage sites like temples, old mosques such as the Mak Mosque, and churches. Then there are forts, palaces like the Maimun Palace here. Now the Surakarta Palace will also be revitalized, and a number of palaces, perhaps more than 100, will be worked on this year in this initial phase. Then also the National Gallery. So this is a commitment from the president because these cultural assets are the footprints of our culture and civilization. Ultimately, this will attract many visitors, grow the ecosystem, turn the cultural ecosystem into a cultural economy, and help the creative economy and tourism grow. Nowadays, besides nature tourism, cultural tourism has a very high demand worldwide, especially for Gen Z. For instance, we recently created a museum passport. They're now 20,000, even though they were sold at that museum passport at 89,000 sold out instantly. So that shows the current generation likes material culture, perhaps because they were digital natives. Something tangible that can be held, felt, and collected has become important. I think this is very timely. What the mentioned earlier also includes Tawang Station, which has been operating since June 1, 1914. And that is where the railway originated. The Dutch built this railway starting from Semarang, not from Batavia, not from Jakarta. And if we look at the spirit, including from KAI and several other state-owned enterprises, as well as other ministries and agencies wanting to revitalize this, I think this is very good. We have seen, for example, Lawang Sewu has been revitalized, and later Bogor Station and several other stations that are already over 50 years old or even over 100 years old. By doing so, they are returned to their original facades as close as possible to their initial forms, so that the beauty is better captured, along with the architectural concepts of those eras. So this is in accordance with cultural heritage, and we are now accelerating the registration, verification, and data collection process for designating national cultural heritage sites. So this year, we are targeting 2,000. Previously, for 79 years, we had only recorded 228 national cultural heritage sites. This year, we are targeting 2,000. We now have more than 1,000, just for this year, that are already national cultural heritage sites, including last year's, like the Baitur Rahim Mosque and the Maimun Palace last December. So we were indeed lacking focus, but now with the presence of this Ministry of Culture, we are also increasingly focusing on cultural heritage, cultural sites, and museums. We are improving their ecosystems so that the cultural economy and tourism will grow, something like that.
What about future heritage stations?
Sir? Besides Tawang.
Huh?
Besides Tawang?
Yes, besides Tawang, I mean.
Bogor is one in the near future, and also...
In Sawalunto?
Padang.
Yes, Padang. Including what the KAI President Director said earlier, we will revive lines that once existed, including around Nonai Valley. It is very possible, although it does need to be studied because it is quite prone to landslides. But there are steam trains, including the first train from Semarang, which might soon be reactivated, and also the one in Sawalunto.
What about in Jakarta? Is there anything? Like the Kota Station, which is...
Kota Station?
Kota Station in the Old Town. That is also an old station. And in the old town itself, there are many buildings, so I have reported to the President and the State Secretary that we will also utilize the old buildings around there. For example, there is the Jasa Raharja building. We want to turn it into a film museum. So we haven't had a film museum all this time. Then there is the Jiwasraya building in Bandung, which we will turn into a music museum. That is on Asia Africa Street. In the old town of Semarang, we will create a photography museum, SIM. And in Surabaya, we will create an architecture museum. So we will implement all of that. The first phase starting early this year. Regarding the one in Semarang, it was last mentioned concerning the Kenaikan Islam building. That is already...
Yeah. The Syarikat Islam building was already repaired at that time. Now there are minor repairs needed, especially with trees growing there. That was the first Syarikat Islam building in Semarang home. And hopefully this year it can be repaired and revitalized. But the damage isn't too severe now.
Maybe regarding what the president
Just tried in the Central Explorer. I told you how was it for the first time?
first.
How was first experience?
Have you seen it yet? Not yet. The team hasn't seen it.
Ask Mr. Fredrickson, ask him.
Yes. So, following up on what Mr. Fadrison said, in order to increase our tourism potential, one of the things the President wants is for us to develop rail-based tourism. Actually, PTKI already has a subsidiary specifically dedicated to providing tourist train facilities. Now, upon the President's instruction, it needs to be strengthened, so we are making new carriages that will then be integrated with our top-tier tourist destinations. Mine. So today, it is still in the trial phase because it has not been officially launched yet. And according to us who were invited earlier to look inside the interior of the carriage cabin, we quite appreciate that now PTKI is capable of producing world-class international standard railway carriages. For now,
From the president, what are his impressions or messages?
This will be for the general public and so on. There are some notes, of course, but it's not just about the quality or facilities made by PTKI. But earlier, the discussion also directly touched on several tourist destinations that have consequences. It turns out we also have to revitalize or reactivate the railway lines.
yes. For example, from Semarang to Magelang, because we want to make Borobudur one of our flagship destinations. Besides the one in Jogja, for example, with Prambanan Temple, which some time ago was also visited by Prime Minister Modi, and we are planning to restore and improve it. And also, what is the target in years, sir? 1 to 2 years, it should be finished, right?
3 years, sir.
Well, this becomes a single tourism ecosystem that we want to optimize. That is why, in his remarks during the housing credit agreement event earlier, the president once again reminded us all to together promote the Indonesia Asri movement or Waras movement. An Indonesia that is safe, healthy, clean, and beautiful. This is solely as one complete ecosystem.
Can this luxury train operate soon?
As soon as possible. Not yet. Later, after this, right?
After today, there is usually an evaluation, and then we will set a target.
This year, Mas.
If possible.
If I may add a little, it seems from the conversations earlier and the response from many people that many in the public will be interested, perhaps even renting a carriage or renting it for events, reunions, or various gatherings. Or while having meetings or doing various things. It is very unique, and well, like the Orient Express, right?
Yeah.
But this has a nuisance touch with batik motifs and others we Harmosan. The decorations value.
It must. We must keep highlighting Indonesian values. Well, first of all, thank you. We've also received information that the Constitutional Court, MK, has made a decision. But indeed, firstly, because we are officially out of town, we have not received a copy of the decision. And of course, whatever the decision is, we respect it and will study it later. Because, in any case, regarding budget matters, we certainly do not stand alone, because we also compile the budget together with our friends at the Ministry of Finance.
As regarding the increase in performance allowances,
It has been signed into a presidential regulation by the president.
Yeah. That is actually a performance allowance, which throughout all ministries and agencies is indeed called a performance allowance, and the amounts vary. Well, there are some that, due to certain considerations, were granted a policy to be increased after not being raised for several years. For example, some that are not only in the TNI or the Ministry of Defense, but also for teachers in 3T regions, for lecturers in 3T regions, health workers in 3T regions. We are paying attention to their allowances or welfare. For those who serve in places that are classified as quite difficult.
understood.
Perhaps, sir, regarding the latest survey findings from SMRC, the public trust has declined to 51%. What will the government do to boost the government's approval rating again? Yes, firstly, from the beginning, we have always stated that we were not chasing survey numbers, and we believe that what we are doing, the programs decided by the president, the programs now being implemented by all the ministries and agencies present, are all oriented toward the community. We have never looked at or worked for the sake of chasing a survey. So from what we are doing, we are confident that people will be able to accept everything we are carrying out as campaign promises, as our shared aspirations as a nation that is advanced, prosperous, and independent in various fields, starting from food, then energy, our aggressive industrialization, our aggressive downstreaming. A definitive BI governor has indeed not been appointed yet. To this day, the president has not yet decided to propose a candidate for the definitive BI governor to the House of Representatives, DPR. In accordance with the mechanism, that is indeed how it works. Previously, when Mr. Perry stepped down as BI governor, the BI law automatically regulated that the position would be held by an acting governor, which is currently held, according to the law, by the senior deputy governor. So the definitive one has not been decided yet.
Does that mean it will be a single candidate proposed to the DPR, or is it not yet, but sir? Are there any special criteria from the president for the future?
Special criteria is mandatory as red and white. Sir, earlier the president was joking.
Right, sir. Regarding that, now. Will that be conveyed? Will that be proposed by the President to become the definitive one, sir?
Well,
The signals?
only he knows.
But there is news that the President will conduct a reshuffle in the near future, early August. Definitely.
A reshuffle? For the time being, there is none. No, none. Even if there were any, perhaps it would be to fill the vacancies in several positions left behind by our friends from their previous roles. Like, yes! For example, like the Minister of Agriculture.
What else, sir? Besides what is being filled, what else, sir?
Fishing Francis.
Not yet either, right, sir?
Yes, that is also empty. But, frankly, we haven't, and he hasn't, discussed any plans for a replacement yet. Thank you, everyone.
Jelajahi cara baru mendapatkan informasi. Download MetroTV Extend sekarang.